You're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis. Welcome to our conversation. Welcome to the Clearview Today show. We got a great topic. We're talking about the importance of yielding, right? This is a message that Dr. Shah preached back in May of 2019. How to yield to God, how to submit your life to God. That's all about having the mind of Christ. But before we do anything else, I want to welcome our host for today, Dr. Abadan Shah, who's a PhD in New Testament textual criticism. Dr. Shah, welcome to the show.
You know how I know you were trying to power through a bit?
How's that?
Because you got infinitely louder in your volume.
What do you mean?
You were talking, welcome to our conversation today, and I just want to welcome our host, Dr. Abadan Shah, as a PhD. Like you were announcing to a room over.
It's good that I did that because they were messing with the levels earlier, trying to get everything straight. I don't know how he always fools me. Every time I go to introduce him,
He just jukes you out. He's not here.
Dr. Shah is traveling again this week in the merry old land of Oz.
Yes, he has gone to see the wizard.
That's where Wizard of Oz comes from, right? It's Britain. It's British.
I'm sure that it is.
Or is it American?
I don't actually know. L. Frank Baum.
Yeah. You look up L. Frank Baum.
L. Frank Baum.
But Dr. Shah is traveling over in England. We're doing a couple of filming projects tracing the heritage of Christianity after it got to Europe. So going through the Britons, going through the Anglo-Saxons.
American author.
Stuff. American author.
He's
You
an
know
American
what?
guy.
Dorothy was from Kansas. I guess
He was from Chittenango.
What?
I'm sure that I've said that wrong. New York.
Chittenango, New York.
Yep.
Why is he writing about a little Kansas girl then? Was he from Kansas?
No, it says he was born in New York.
Wow, cool. So shout out to L. Frank Baum. Also shout out to Val Kilmer. What?
Yeah,
on
rest
earth?
in peace, Val Kilmer.
died. I got up on Facebook the other day and saw that. Well, it was really yesterday, but by the time this airs, it'll have been a few days. But Batman himself.
I know.
I didn't know Batman
So
could
sad.
die.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Batman.
Iceman from Top Gun.
Batman Forever, right? I get all those. I get all those early ones.
Val Kilmer was.
I get all those early ones.
Was he first? He wasn't first, was he?
No, that was Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton was first. He was second.
Batman.
He was second. Batman Returns. He was the one with.
No, Michael Keaton was Batman Returns too. I think because I think it was Keaton. Kilmer.
Keaton did one.
No, Keaton did two. I think.
No, Keaton did one.
Who did two? Did Kilmer do two?
Clooney did three.
No. Then how? Then we end up with 5 old Batman movies.
Clooney did two. It was
did
Keaton.
two?
Keaton did one with Nicholson's Joker. Then Kilmer did one with Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman and Danny DeVito's.
I think
Penguin.
that was Keaton, wasn't it?
No, that
Are
was
you
Kilmer.
sure? I don't know, dude. I don't know. I never watched them.
I'm not confident enough.
Neither am I. I never watched those old Batmans. Something else I learned at lunch today.
You never watched them, really?
Never watched the first Batman movie I ever sat down to actually watch. was
I'm
Batman
wrong.
Begins.
I'm so sorry.
Which one was it?
It was Batman Forever. You're right.
Which was
The one with Riddler and Two-Face.
Two-Face.
You were absolutely right. I apologize.
Here's why I thought I knew that, because I remember thinking, how could Batman be like the sanest person here? That movie is like a fever dream.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That and I've seen it on that movie with Riddler and Two-Face, right?
Yeah.
Like you would think Two-Face would be like the straight man out of that duo, but they're both just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And then what's the one after that? Batman Forever or Batman?
Batman and Robin.
That one is even worse.
Yeah, that's the one with Clooney. So Kilmer did two and Clooney did two because we have.
There
are 5.
That means
old
there
Batman.
wasn't. No, there's 4. There's only 4. I think there's only.
No, there's one where we. Which one introduces Robin? Is that the one that introduces
That's Batman
Robin?
and Robin. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think it's Batman,
Oh my
Batman
gosh.
Returns, Batman Forever, and then Batman and Robin. I think those are the 4. I think Keaton did too. This is not the point of the show at all. The point of the show is to say rest in peace, Val Kilmer. I didn't think Batman could be killed, but here it is. I'm just glad that it wasn't at the hands of the Joker or the Riddler, of any of those guys. What I didn't know was that Val Kilmer was also Moses. You said that he was Moses.
Yeah. He was the voice of Moses in Prince of Egypt.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I never saw Prince.
You who I called brother. Yeah, that's Val
Was
Kilmer.
that him singing too?
I don't know. It might have been. I don't know.
Other thing we wanted to shout out was your new ride.
Yes.
Nice. You want to tell us about your
The
new
new
ride?
whip.
The new whip
The new
coming in here.
whip.
The new crystal white whip.
It is white. Actually, right now it's more yellow because we live in North Carolina and things are crazy here.
Golly, yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
But it's a 2025 Chevy Trax. TRAX.
You keeping it on tracks?
Yeah, trying
Very
to.
nice, dude. So,
Trying to.
so
You know the coolest thing about it?
What's that?
I can start it with my phone.
That's pretty cool. Not
Yes.
even just the.
Yeah, I can remote start from the keys too, but I can
Right.
do it from an app on my phone.
How long?
That's pretty wild.
So how long have you had the new ride?
Oh, a couple weeks, not very long.
Yeah, and you like it?
I do like it. I like it a lot.
Nice. It's got CarPlay.
It does have CarPlay.
Very nice, my
Has
friend.
CarPlay. Has heated seats. Has heated steering wheel.
How are the kids liking it?
They fight over who gets to ride in it.
For real?
Oh yes,
'cause
it's an argument about who gets to ride in Dad's car.
It can't sit. It can't sit all 5 kids.
No, it can't. It's a 5-seater, so it's the driver plus 4.
Okay.
So it's not meant to be like the family vehicle. It's just kind of like my car and a supplemental car for us because we still have the minivan.
So that's what I was going to say with the minivan. Elizabeth, I know she usually will take the kids to school when she goes, right? So has there been any fights over her wanting to drive the new car? Because when I got the Pilot, Ellie was always like, I'm going to take the Pilot. And I was like, hold on. The Pilot's my car.
Hold on.
But she wants to drive the new car. Same with the Tiguan.
There have been a couple of times. So we each have keys to each other's cars.
Of course.
So there's been a time where she had to go to school early, so she did take the tracks, and then I drove the kids to school in the Kia, and then just swapped cars.
Got you.
Just because that made more sense.
Something about driving that new car, because I was always like not a
lie.
new car guy. I was like, I'm not going to get excited about the new car until I got a new car, and then I was like,
well, here's the thing. I've only ever had like hand-me-down vehicles,
right?
Which is great. We've been blessed in that regard. Haven't had a car payment. That's wonderful. And it's been fine. So the first new car that we purchased, which was new to us, was the Kia back years ago. Before, I think this was even before Asher was born, and that was a new to us car that we purchased.
But that wasn't like a car, like a cruiser, right? That was like a van or something.
Yeah,
like
it was a minivan.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this whole car buying experience, we were newbies,
right?
But God worked it out.
You bought a home before you bought a car.
Yeah,
that's wild to me.
That's correct.
I just thought about that.
Yep.
I just thought about that sitting right here. You bought a home.
Yeah, we did
before you bought a car.
We did.
Which one was less stressful? Or which one was more stressful?
Neither one was really stressful. The home, I think, probably was a little bit more stressful just because we were commuting back and forth from Wake Forest. So anytime we wanted to come to church, it was a 45-minute drive, which is a lot. So we did that for about a year and then finally found a home out here. So that was a little bit stressful just because we wanted it to happen. The car, we weren't even intending to buy a car. We walked in and we're like, well, let's just look and see what they have. And we drove home with a new vehicle.
Similar story with me when we got the Tiguan. But I got in a wreck. I kind of had to have a car.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing I think that helped me is you've correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you've ever had like a car, like one of the little cars that you had to.
No.
So
not for years. Not since before kids.
Ellie has a Ford Fusion. That's a car. So I remember getting. It was always kind of skewed more in my favor because I'm like a big guy. Like I'm not gonna fit in that little car. She'd be trying to make me. She'd be like, "I'm gonna take the new car. You take the Fusion." And I'm like, "Ellie, I clearly cannot.
I don't fit in the
It's gonna be wildly uncomfortable." A lot of times she didn't care, but that did skew her towards my favor. But all that to say, I was not a new car guy until I started getting new cars.
Yeah.
And
it's nice. I understand the hype.
That's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling.
We are going to take a quick break, but we did want to just say we are praying for Dr. Shaw as he is traveling. Him and Nicole, they are traveling overseas, doing a bunch of great filming projects. And as the week goes on, we'll be talking a little bit more about those filming projects as more details start to come out. Oh, we didn't do the check-in. Let's do the check-in real quick.
Okay. Today's check-in is coming to us from Jack P. in Georgia.
Jack P., I would never want to disrespect you by going to break before we hit the check-in. I'm going to read this real quick, and then we'll take a break. Dear friends, I would really appreciate your prayers right now. My family is going through a difficult season, and we're facing some tough decisions that feel overwhelming. Please pray for wisdom, strength, and peace as we navigate this. Also, if you could lift my brother up in prayer. He's struggling with his health, and we are trusting God for healing. So thank you so much for standing with us in faith, Jack P. Jack, I'm glad we read your check.
Absolutely.
We are
difficult seasons are, they're hard to make it through, and it's hard when you don't have a discernible end date for those difficult seasons. But that's actually, that goes along with Dr. Shaw's message that we're going to be talking about today.
And everybody goes through those difficult seasons, man. I know sometimes it's like there are times where where it's like it's gotten so bad, it's like I feel like I need to write into like a radio show, or I need to write into someone just to make sure someone out there is praying for us. And man, I'm praying for you, Jack. I'm praying for you. But he didn't put his brother's name in the message. But you've got here's a good thing. Now that we are on pray.com, you have a potential 19 million people praying for your brother right now, and praying for you and for your family. So if you're listening to us on pray.com, if you would just lift up Jack P. from Georgia and his brother in prayer, we'd really appreciate that.
That's right. Write in those daily check-ins to 252-582-5028. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with more Clearview Today.
Hi, I'm Dr. Abidhan Shah, lead pastor at Clearview Church and host of the Clearview Today show. Every day we bring you bold, biblical truth to help you navigate life with clarity and confidence. We tackle the tough questions, dive deep into God's Word, and bring a fresh perspective on faith, culture, and the world around us. But none of this would be possible without the faithful support of listeners like you. When you give to Clearview today, you're not just supporting a radio show, you're investing in a gospel-driven mission to share the truth of Jesus Christ without compromise. Your financial partnership helps us stay on the air, expand our reach, and continue creating content that encourages, equips, and transforms lives. Would you prayerfully consider supporting Clearview today? No gift is too small, and every dollar goes directly towards furthering the message of hope and truth in Christ. To give, just follow the link in the description below and click the Give button. You can make a one-time donation or become a monthly partner. Whatever God lays on your heart, thank you for standing with us in this ministry. Together, we can make Christ visible.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ.
That's right. With Dr. Shah gone, a lot of times we like to go through books that he's written or sermons that he's preached and kind of review them, kind of put our own spin on it, maybe just let you know how God has been working through all the different resources that Dr. Shah has. This is a sermon that he preached back in May of 2019. It was a really great series. It was called Mind Reset. I don't know if you remember the Mind Reset series.
That was one of my favorites.
That was one of the first ones that I really wanted to turn into a book. We're still working on drafting that out. A lot of his series, I'm like, we got to make this into a book, and then we get halfway into drafting it, and then he starts preaching another series where I'm like, okay, I want to work on that.
We got to work on that one.
But Mind Reset was one of the very first ones that he ever preached, and it was basically saying that we tend to think that it's impossible to reset our mind. Think of like a game, like the old. They don't do them on video games no more. Back in the day, you had like a power button, you had a reset button.
Reset button. Yeah.
It literally just if your game was having a problem or whatever, you hit the reset button and it just would turn off. It was just a restart. I think.
Yeah.
It just
That's
would cut it off and then cut back on. But I thought it was really cool. It was a great series to talk about how you can reset your mind. When you get saved, you literally get the mind of Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And I thought today's verse of the day went along so well with it, Ryan. If you want to read the verse of the day.
Absolutely. The verse of the day is coming from James chapter 4, verse 7. Therefore, submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you.
That's right. If you're feeling spiritually attacked today, or if you're feeling overwhelmed, this is a message that Dr. Shah preached years ago, but is still impacting me today. If you put God first, right, and you don't give the enemy any room for your life, I love that word is resist the devil. You don't taunt the devil. You don't declare victory over him. You resist him, and you resist him hiding behind Christ. Mm-hmm. And I think it's talking about that. It's talking about submit to God. It's not about losing control, right? It's about trusting God.
Yeah.
It's about letting him be the one to carry you through.
Yeah.
It's not my strength, it's his.
Yeah, submission is not just kind of rolling over and taking whatever life throws at you. Submission, Dr. Shah said this before, but submission is power brought under control. Mm-hmm. And so it's submitting yourself to God, to his leadership, to his design for your life. That's really, that submission, that posture of submission is the only way that you're going to be able to resist the devil.
That's right. It's funny because submission and strength feel like two different things. And yet in this one verse, James is using almost opposing language to signify the same thing. And
Yeah.
what it means is when you submit to God, you are standing firm in your faith. You're refusing to entertain the devil's lies. And because of that, because you're hiding behind Christ, he has no choice but to back off.
Yeah.
He has no choice but to flee from you because he knows he can't win against God. It's not going to happen.
It takes retraining our mind, which you talked about that a second ago, John.
Yeah.
Like resetting your actual mind. This was from the series Dr. Shah preached, Mind Reset, was from the book of Philippians. Mm-hmm. And so Paul's writing to the church in Philippi on how to change their thinking, because when you've been brought up a certain way, or when you've had bad habits that you've fallen into, especially like habits related to your thinking, you do have to retrain your mind. You have to retrain the way that you're thinking. And so Philippians chapter 2 verse 5 says, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God did not consider it robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, taking the form of a bondservant and coming in the likeness of men."
That's right.
So Jesus is humbling himself. He is setting this model of humility, of service. And we have to ask ourselves, can we truly humble ourselves like Jesus did in this passage?
Oh, right.
Well, the answer is no.
No.
We can't, because in order to humble ourselves like Jesus, we would have to give up what Jesus gave up.
Right.
We don't have
we can never
we
have.
don't have divine attributes that we lay aside in order to take on humanity. We are inherently human. So this passage is really more about celebrating what Christ has done for us rather than, following his example here. But that mind of Christ, that in humility, submitting to God, in humility, trusting God's design, in humility, recognizing that God the Father knows more than you do, we absolutely can do that and should do that in our lives.
Oh yeah, I see it even in my kids. Like your kids are, your oldest now is what, 12, 13?
12.
Oh, not 13 yet.
Yeah.
You don't have teenagers yet. But
Not yet, closing in.
So close. And your youngest is 6?
6.
So my oldest is 4 and my youngest is 2, and we got another one on the way. So they're kind of both in that stage right now. And maybe your younger ones are too, where they want to help me with everything. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing something at the computer, or I'm working on a video, or I'm working on, something here at the church, and they're like, "Can I help? Can I help?" And it's like, "Yeah, you can help." Or no, a lot of times I'm like, "No, why don't you go play?" But sometimes I'm like, "Yeah, come on and help." And the way they start doing stuff, I can tell, especially with Gavin, is like he wants so desperately to show me that he can do it.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm seeing him wrapping a cable, or I'm seeing him putting things away, like he'll organize like our little adapters or whatever, little small stuff. I'm like, "Here, bud, let Daddy do it." And Holden's not really like this, but Gavin, which is surprising given their temperaments, but Gavin's like, no, I'll do it. And I'm like, "No, let Daddy show you how to do it." And he doesn't want to. He's like, no, let me do it. And it gets frustrating until I'm like, "Hey, Gavin, watch how Daddy does it." And then I show him, and then of course it goes so much easier because I'm doing it the way that it's designed to be done. But there's still that hesitation, that defiance, that no, I want to show you that I'm worth something. I want to show you that I can do it. And as annoying as it is, I think about the ways that we do that with God, where it's like, "God, no, I know this is what you want for my life, but let me just show you. Let me just show you what I'm thinking. Let me just try this."
Yeah. Let me do it. Let me help. Let me take over. Let me work this problem out. Let me see what I can accomplish.
Right.
And God's looking at us like, if you would just yield, if you would just submit to me, I would show you where you need to go.
That's right.
And not, God is not taking over. He still allows us to have agency in his plan. He still works through us, but we've got to do things his way,
right,
if we want things to be successful.
That's right. We all have that I can do it mindset. It's not just like the strong, independent people that we talk about. I think every single person has the "I can do this. I can change my life. I can even be the one to serve God. I can do this on my own." And I think for a little while, it feels like it's working, right? It feels like we're actually doing something. Like a little kid, like when they're doing something, they're putting toys. Like Ellie has all the toys like separated out by character. So like all the Mario toys go in this bin, all the Mickey Mouse toys go in this bin, all the Paw Patrol toys go in this bin. It's labeled. Holden does not care.
Right.
He's just throwing them in random bins, and he's like, "I did it. Look, I did it." And it's like, yes, the room is clean, the floor is clean, but you didn't do it the way that it was designed to be done. So eventually we're going to have to go back and fix that. And I think we do that in our Christian life. It feels like when we go off on our own, it's not like we're going to fall flat on our face right at the beginning. It'll feel like it's working for a little while, but eventually we start to realize, okay, I'm doing all this, and I thought it was working, so why am I exhausted? Why am I frustrated? Why do I feel like I'm not making any progress? Why have I just made an even bigger mess to be sorted out?
Yeah. It takes a process. I mean, no one, when they get saved, their mind is just instantly like, "Oh, well, that's what it means to live the Christian life now." Boy, would that be nice.
Yeah, I know.
It would just be nice if God was like, "Okay, now your mind is completely redeemed, your thinking is completely changed, and you're thinking exactly the way that I want."
When you said you were going to give me the mind of Christ, I thought that's what
I thought that was like right now I was going to have the mind.
Right. I thought like I was just going to be like, and you know what's funny? People think that. There's a lot of people who didn't grow up. I didn't grow up in church. And so when people say you get saved, you become more like Christ, I thought it was just like that. Like, I'm saved, now I am Christ-like.
It's not an instantaneous thing, unfortunately.
No, it's not. Imagine how disappointed I woke up the next morning. I was like, wait, I'm still me?
I still have my mind. What's happening?
I didn't want to still be me. I wanted to be good now. I wanted to be worth something. I like what you said earlier where you were talking about yielding. You know what I mean? And it is a level of submission, but it's not about sitting back and being passive. It's passive, but it's cooperating, if that makes sense. It's not sitting back and letting this transformation just happen to me. It's a spirit of cooperation with God. We are letting God transform our hearts, transform our minds also is kind of what we're talking about, instead of trying to force our way through.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to, because all of us end up planning out our lives, right? We have I want to be in a home by this age, and I want my kids to go to this school, and I want them to play these sports, and I want them to do this job, and when we see that that's not happening, we end up getting frustrated. And so I think a lot of the yielding is just allowing God to transform us into who he wants us to be. Then all those things start to happen in time. That's always how Dr. Shaw has kind of told it to me, is that like it's good to have a plan for your life. At the same time, you're allowing God to work his plan so that your plan and his plan start to align.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
I also, go ahead.
It's a process. I mean, we've said this, but Dr. Shaw mentions it in his message. He says it's an ABC process. So A stands for acknowledge.
Yep.
You acknowledge that a transformation has actually taken place. If you just keep rolling on with life as usual, you're not going to begin that process of changing your mind. You have to beware of old thoughts.
Right.
Colossians 3:2 says, set your mind on things above and not on things on the earth. And then you have to commit to the renewal of the mind. It's not a matter of just like, oh, my mind will be renewed now, and that's it. It's an ongoing process. And I think that's, for us who have increasingly so, I mean, this is true of us, it's more true of our kids than it is of us, have grown up in a culture of the instantaneous.
Yes, of
where
course.
everything is microwave, everything is on demand, everything is streaming, and everything is right now. Yeah. When everything is delivered to you at the blink of an eye, you have a problem waiting on things.
Yeah, the 90s didn't do me good, man. Like food being delivered right to your door, like movies on demand in the Blockbuster store. Seriously, like microwave ovens in the house. Everything I ever wanted in life, I had within, a few minutes, like 30 minutes tops, an hour.
Even think about when we were growing up. I mean, you talked about Blockbuster. I can remember when Netflix was DVDs mailed to you. Like, that happened in the mail.
That was Netflix?
That was Netflix. It was a subscription service, and you requested the DVDs you wanted, and it was mailed to you.
Yeah, I was thinking Redbox, but you're right.
And then it went to, like, the Redbox situation,
right.
and then we went to streaming, and oh, boy, have we never looked back streaming. I mean, it's just on demand, just a click of a button.
Oh, if my internet dips for, like, about 45 seconds, I'm angry at everybody in the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because we're used to things right now. So when God says, wait, when God says, trust the process, it stretches us, and it's not comfortable, and we don't like it.
That's right. And one of the things that helps me is to take comfort, I guess, in what is instant. So one of the things you said, Ryan, the A was what? Acknowledge that the mind of Christ is in you. Think about that. If you're saved right now, if you're listening to this, you already possess the mind of Christ. It isn't that you work to get it, right? Like when you become saved, you do possess the mind of Christ. You're not entirely Christ-like, but your mind, it's an immaterial part of you. Right? The body is the material, the mind is the immaterial. And so both are equally important. Both are equally affected by sin. Both are redeemed by Jesus. And I think that's what always gives me hope, is that I have this in me. It isn't something that I have to work to attain. It's not something I have to work to earn.
Yeah.
The working, and really it's not even working. It's like I said, it's a more passive process. But the transformation is that day-to-day growing in it. That helps me more than anything else, because you're right. I don't like to wait. I don't like to wait on God's timing in my life. I don't want to wait to see how God is going to transform me. I want to be my final self so I can enjoy for the next 40, 50 years. I want to get all the rewards now and then enjoy the rewards for the rest of my life, and then enjoy all the rewards in heaven as well.
Yeah, that's not the way the Christian life is set up, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Our mind, we've talked a lot about our mind on the show. Our mind is shaped by our worldview.
Yes.
It's shaped by how we grew up. We are all a product of how we were raised, good or bad or indifferent. We can sit here and talk about nature versus nurture, but really both are true.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's your genetics, and it's the world in which you grew up.
That's right.
It's also shaped by our circumstances, the choices that we make, the decisions that we have committed to, the situations that we've landed ourselves in. We accumulate certain assumptions in life, both good or bad, and they can be about anything. They can be about money, success, people, self, any number of things. I mean, you name it. But it's in the waiting, it's in the yielding, it's in the stop fighting and allow God to do what he's doing in you, and be receptive to that, lean into that.
That's right.
That we start to have our mind reset.
I really love this verse right here, this voice right here. I love this verse, Ephesians 4:23 and 24. It says, "And be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which was created according to God in true righteousness and holiness." You put on this new man, just like you would put on clothes, you'd put on armor. You have the choice to become that new man, and it's not that you are the one doing it. God has made you that new man, but for you to put on that man and walk around your life. And that doesn't mean that you're walking around with two different minds, right?
Yeah.
Like you have the old sinful mind, and now you have the mind of Christ, and every day I have to choose between them. That's not what we're saying. In fact, there's actually a verse that debunks that in 1 Corinthians in 2:16. It says, "For who has known the mind of the Lord that he may instruct him, but we have the mind of Christ." And that's the mindset of Christ, his disposition, his character. You have that within you. Your mind I don't want to say that your mind fuses with his or becomes one with his, but you have that mind within you. It's hard to explain, but it's not that you're like a Bruce Banner type where you've got like, all right, right now I'm making good choices, so I'm displaying the mind of Christ, and now I'm falling back into sin, so it's my old mind. It says that if you are saved, you have the spiritual mind, and if it's something external, if it's something you have to create or aspire to, you're always going to fail.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that you can it's not something you can manifest. It's not something I can mean harder.
Yeah.
That's something I tell the worship, and I'm not trying to ramble here, but that's something I tell the worship team a lot when we're worshiping is like, I'm never asking you to mean things harder. You can't put any meaning in these songs that isn't there. You can't manifest passion. You can't manifest wisdom in your Christian life.
Yeah.
It isn't something you can just, I'm just going to focus on it until I mean it, and then it'll be pleasing to God. So also with our daily lives, it's not that I'm going to make all the right choices so God will count me righteous. If you're saved, you've been made righteous.
Yeah.
Same, I think, with your mind. You have the mind of Christ in you. And so how you live your daily life really is just a reflection of the transformation that's already happened.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think about it in terms of like, you look at a little baby, a sweet little baby that's just been born,
Right.
So little, so tiny. It looks like the future is full of possibility. Well, God already knows who that baby is going to be.
Right.
10, 20, 30 years from now, God knows that baby, what they're going to be like as an adult. That doesn't mean that baby has already made it to adulthood.
Right.
But that is the trajectory. That is where they're headed. So too with the mind of Christ. The mind of Christ is already there in us. It's a matter of our life and our thoughts catching up with the spiritual reality, the spiritual transformation that's already taken place. And so maybe you're listening and maybe you're thinking, okay, that's all well and good, but you've told me, you haven't given me any actionable steps that I can take. Like you just tell me to believe this and to allow God to do this in me. That's when you have to realize that you are not meant to be in the driver's seat of your life.
That's right. That's 100%.
You're not meant to be the one making things happen. You're not meant to be the one, in control over your own destiny. That's not to say you sit back and just put your feet up and allow God to sort of make you more like him. But in the day-to-day, in the decisions that you make, in the choices that you're thinking, in the thoughts that you're thinking, the mental landscape that you have, operate in the parameters of knowing that God is transforming you to make you more like his son.
Well, that's sort of to Dr. Shaw's point. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm with you. There are people, I guarantee you, who are listening to this who are like, well, I don't want to just, what do you mean just let God transform me? That doesn't feel right. It's not going to feel right. It's not in your nature. And that's kind of how we started this whole thing. It is in your nature to be active. It's in your nature to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to impact the world around me. I'm going to be in the driver's seat of my life. And of course, it doesn't sound like good advice or good wisdom because it goes against our sinful human nature,
right?
To be passive and to let God transform us. One of the things I would also say is that this is very, very much a singular-minded episode. Like, this is all individual. But also remember, the mind of Christ is not developed in isolation. It's developed in community. So 100%. There's people who are listening to this right now who, if you're not a member of a church, man, this process is going to be so much harder because there's millions of people, every single Christian who exists, I would say, who is walking through this with you. And so just as your mind is being transformed by Christ, so also is theirs. And so when all these minds get together, especially weekly under biblical preaching like we have here at Clearview Church or in your church as well, man, the process becomes so much easier, so much more enjoyable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So great. Guys, make sure you join us tomorrow, same time, same station. We're going to be diving into another great topic here on the Clearview Today Show. Thanks again to our sponsors for making today's episode possible. And don't forget that you can support us by subscribing to the show on iTunes if you want to re-listen. And you can always support us financially at clearviewtodayshow.com. John, anything you want to plug as we close today?
Definitely just be praying for Dr. Shaw and Nicole as they are traveling overseas. We are filming a lot of great stuff. We're going to be putting all that content right here on pray.com. If you're listening on iTunes, if you don't have the pray.com app, make sure you go and download it. It's 100% free. All of Dr. Shaw's content is on there, as well as exclusive content that you can only find. And if you're listening to this on pray.com right now, make sure you go on over to Dr. Abadan Shah's page and give him a follow. That really helps us. You can also give financially on that same page. Thank you to everybody who's already given, already supporting the ministry. We love you. We appreciate you. That's all I've got.
That's it. Fantastic.
Very cool.
Make sure you guys jump in tomorrow. And if you're listening on the radio or if you're listening on maybe a Truth Network station, write in and let us know where you're listening from. 252-582-5028. Send those daily check-ins to us. We love hearing from you guys. And just like we talked about today, community is important, especially the community of the Clearview Today Show.
That's right.
We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Clearview Today.